I've written 23 missing persons reports in the last 6 months from a casino that never closes. Officially, they walked out drunk, ran away, or skipped town on their deaths. My cameras say something else walked out wearing their faces. My name's Daniel Ortiz. I'm a night security guard at a mid-tier casino 3 miles off the Las Vegas Strip. Not one of the fancy places with fountains and shows. Ours is older, cheaper, the kind of place people crawl into at 2 a.m. when everywhere else has already taken their money. I've seen everything on this job. Fights, overdoses, dealers skimming chips, couples having sex in stairwells, even one guy trying to wheel a slot machine out the emergency exit. None of that scared me. What scared me were the disappearances. They started small. A drunk tourist vanishing on his way to the parking garage. An old lady who never came back from just one more smoke break. Metro Police shrugged. Vegas eats people, one officer told me. They go home, they go missing, they go to the desert. Not your problem, guard. Maybe it wouldn't have been my problem if I'd never watched the footage. The first one that really stuck with me was a guy in a blue HOODIE face. Not important. One more forgettable gambler, already down too much cash. Timestamp 3:11 a.m. He leaves the blackjack table, pockets empty, and heads toward the exit that leads to the garage. Shoulders slumped, stumbling. The usual walk of shame. Camera 12 hallway 2. The door catches him from behind. Fluorescent lights flicker once. Not unusual. The building's old. But when the lights come back up, he's wrong. It took me a second to see it. His shadow on the carpet is stretched too long, like the lights coming from a different angle, and it's not copying his walk. There's a half-second delay, as if it's following instead of attached. He reaches for the crash bar on the door. The camera glitches. One frame of snow, like an old TV losing signal. Then he's gone. Door never opens. Alarm never sounds. No motion on the exterior. Camera outside that door. He just stops existing mid-step. I backed up the footage. Frame by frame. One frame. Man in hoodie. Fingers about to touch the bar. Next. Empty hallway. Bar untouched. Door closed. Lights steady. I checked the rest of the cameras for him. Nothing. He never left. But 30 minutes later, the pit boss swore he saw the guy in the blue hoodie again, this time back at a slot machine, feeding in 20s he shouldn't have had, on camera. The hoodie was there, sitting at the machine, head bowed, but the face was a blur, not pixelated, not out of focus, just wrong. Like the camera couldn't decide what it was looking at. I told myself it was a glitch, then it happened again, and again. I started my own spreadsheet. Timestamps, locations, names when I could get them. 23 people, all technically missing. 23 people I watched walk into blind spots that shouldn't exist. And more often than not, something that looked like them came back out. The night that proved it started at exactly 2:17 a.m. I remember the time because my phone buzzed with a notification, and at the same second, every monitor in the security room flickered just once, like a shared heartbeat. On screen 5, a woman in a red dress was standing alone by the back entrance. No one should use that door. It leads to staff corridors and the loading docks. But guests wander. She had her phone pressed to her ear, talking fast, looking around like she was scared. Radio crackled. "Dan, can you check the service hallway?" The lady in red says, "Someone's following her," came the front desk manager's voice. She refuses to leave that spot until security walks her out. I zoomed in. Behind her, the hallway was empty. No one following, no one even passing by. "Copy," I said. "I see her. I don't see anyone else." That was true for exactly 3 seconds. The light at the far end of the corridor flickered, and for one frame, one single frozen sliver of Time there was something standing just behind her. Not a person. Too tall, too thin, like someone had dragged a body upward by the skull. Limbs too long, angles too sharp. Head tilted down as if staring at the back of her neck. Blink, next frame. It was gone. The woman flinched. Her shoulders jerked like someone had breathed ice on her skin. Her lips formed the words, "It's right behind me," but no one was there. I watched her spin around, eyes wide, staring down the empty hall. Her phone slid from her hand and clattered to the floor. The cameras glitched again, all of them. For less than a second, every feed went black. It felt like the whole building had blinked. When the picture came back, the woman in the red dress was still there. But she wasn't. You can tell when someone stops being themselves. She stood perfectly still. Too still for someone that terrified. Her shoulders were no longer tight with fear. They were relaxed, almost relieved. She bent down, picked up her phone, and for the first time looked directly into my camera. Her eyes were wrong. There was a smear of static around them, like the pixels didn't know how to arrange themselves. When she blinked, her eyelids didn't line up with the motion, like the blink was added later, on top of the footage. Front desk to security. "You with her yet?" The radio snapped. My hand hovered over the mic. On the monitor, the woman smiled. Too slowly. She raised her wrist and checked a watch she wasn't wearing a second earlier. Then she walked straight toward the staff-only door, the one that should have been locked. The lock light turned green before she even touched it. She didn't swipe it. Card. No one on staff opened it for her. The system log later showed nothing at that time. No access recorded. No override. She pushed through and vanished into the service corridors that laced under the casino. Like veins, something cold slid down my spine, because I checked the monitors again a few minutes earlier. The woman in the red dress had been sitting at a slot machine on the main floor. I rewound. There she was, laughing, losing, checking her real watch. Then the feed glitched, in the same way, one breath of static. After that, the woman remained at the machine, pulling the lever, but when she finally stood and walked away, her movements were half a second out of sync with the sound of her heels. I realized, staring at the screens, that I had two different versions of her recorded within minutes, and only one of them walked into a place. People don't come back from the missing people on my reports aren't the ones who vanish from my cameras. They're the ones who walk out smiling, wearing bodies that don't quite fit.